All right. Which child hasn't chosen two so far? Who would like to choose another one?
Oh, we've got a hand up.
Oh, nice one.
Tristan, lovely. Evie would like to ask again. Go on then.
8.
Please.
Number 8.
Oh, where are we now?
Oh, we've got a worm pipefish here.
What?
Pipefish.
What's that?
Get that into camera.
Oh,
Beautiful
look.
little fish. A lot of people think they're eels or worms. That's why they're
saw
called
them
worm
when I was-
pipefish, because they look quite worm-like.
Oh, look.
What?
Look here.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to pick it up? We'll have a look at its face.
It's got sand on its face.
A worm pipefish. It's got a bit of leafage on it as well.
There it goes.
So there you go. So worm pipefish, we got some, and Kath and Sal got one at least down at Boat Cove. They are quite easy to find, but they are also really cool things to find. They're beautiful fish, and I think I heard. Did you say, Tristan, that you've seen them before?
We might have, and then we also, you can see their trails sometimes in the sand.
So they've been wriggling in the sand. Maybe, and because they do, you would have seen the two that were found there. They were, even though they're fish, they were out of the water. The same as the chamois. They can, because they're rockpool fish and they have to try and survive when the tide goes out. They're quite good at living out of the water. So if they wriggle around, they'll probably leave a trail. But I think if you saw lots of trails, it was probably something else. It could have been a sea snail or something like that.
Ben, what did we find? Because you probably don't remember, but when we were at Porthpean, we found a really long pipefish, didn't we? Would that be? I think it was a pipefish that we found.
I remember it well, actually, Kathy, because it's one of the few times that I've ever found a greater pipefish. So this worm pipefish, that's the most common and the one that you can find quite often. You can identify these by looking at their face. They've got this stumpy little sort of snout. What we found, it was about that kind of long, wasn't it? About 30 centimetres or more. And they are incredible fish. I think I've only ever seen two, so I think that was the first time I'd seen one when we were at Porthpean. That was a really good find, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
We see them relatively frequently when we go diving.
So Darren's a keen diver, aren't you, Des?
Yeah, so obviously when we go diving, we see a few species that sort of live more below the water, and the greater pipefish is one we do come across a few times. And it's really beautiful because obviously when it's swimming really gracefully, it just sort of glides through the water, but are superb camouflage when they're just in amongst the seaweeds. So I've never found one rock pooling, but I've seen them when diving.
And all these pipefish are related to seahorses. So that beautiful, slow, graceful gliding in the water, which you see with the seahorses, these guys do the same thing as well. And I'll have to ask the children. So, children, can anyone tell me what's special about seahorses, especially when it comes to looking after their babies?
Evie's got something. Come on,
Evie, go ahead, Evie.
So's Rosie. Rosie's got something.
Rosie, yes. Tell us, Rosie.
Go.
The dad?
Yes, that's right. The dad is the one that looks after the eggs and then for the babies for a little while. Very good, Rosie. And it's the same for pipefish. So when we find pipefish in the spring and early summer, that's when they're breeding, that's when they're making babies. And sometimes when we pick one up like this, then we see a row of eggs, or two rows of eggs on their belly. And that means that the mum has actually laid the eggs. onto the daddy's belly after he's fertilised them. So then he'll look after them, and the mum will swim away and probably find herself another dad to do the same thing with. That's the way they roll. And we've just got a close up on that. You can see the worm pipefish. She's got that lovely little snout. Just like some seahorses, they have a snout like that, and that helps them to feed. They eat on the little tiny crustaceans, so tiny shrimp and that kind of thing, and that's like a big sucky tube that they can suck them in with. Okay, let's go back to the rock pool. What we've got left here. Only 5